What I'm trying to do is to talk to interesting people that I know, that I've met in my life, who, that they can share some stuff with the world, one way or the other. We learn along the way. I
Yes.
I remembered you, man. I remembered you. I was like, what is this guy
It's
doing
been
now this time with all this
it's been a
crisis?
long time, man.
Mm, long time. Last time Holland, eh?
Yes, and that was not my last travel to Europe. I traveled after to Italy and Germany and Switzerland, so it was fine.
What do you travel to do normally? Like, how do you get the visa actually? How was traveling for you as a
It
Palestinian,
was
Palestinian?
actually to Holland. It was a little bit hard, not easy, by the way.
Yeah.
I applied for the visa and I was rejected.
Mm.
So we had to do this Arab thing, talking to someone who knows someone who knows someone.
Gotcha.
And instead of a visa for 15 days, I got a visa for 2 months. Or for
Wallah.
40 days. It
Nice
was a
man.
bit funny, but then
Mm.
it worked. So traveled. I remember in which city we met. Maastricht, no.
Maastricht, yeah, Maastricht.
Maastricht, yeah. In Maastricht there is Leiden University.
No,
We
no, Leiden
spoke. No,
University is in Leiden.
there is Leiden University in Leiden, and there is Leiden University in Den Haag. No, I'm trying to remember. What is the closest? What is the closest place to Den Haag I was to? I don't know. Is it Maastricht? No.
No, no, Rotterdam, Rotterdam,
Yeah,
Amsterdam.
I was in Rotterdam, and there is Leiden University in Rotterdam, I guess, and there is one in Den Haag. I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
trying to
know. The
remember.
only the only Leiden University I know of is in Leiden.
I'm trying to remember because I went to Maastricht, I went to Rotterdam, I was in Amsterdam. Where else did I go in Holland? I don't know. There are cities that have names that I'm not remembering, or it's too long, so I couldn't memorize.
Anyhow, man, it'll be a long time before we travel again. How is
Yeah, it
life?
will.
How is life in Palestine now? You're in Hebron?
Yeah, I'm in Hebron. I think it's very similar to the rest of the world. It's Hebron is in New York now, and New York is Hebron, and Hebron is Berlin. It's the same. Everything is closed here. A month ago, they announced a state of emergency. Do you want me to start with the story from the beginning, how it started here, the coronavirus?
Shoot,
Uh,
man. Shoot in
yeah,
Palestine.
we had this Greek group visiting Palestine, and then after they stayed in the West Bank for some days. Then they wanted to do a trip to Egypt. I don't know why. What came to their mind? So they went to Egypt through Eilat, through Israel, and then coming back, they came back to the West Bank again and stayed in Bethlehem in a hotel. So, as the as the news said, they brought the virus from Egypt.
Who cares, man? Who
So
cares?
they came back to the West Bank, and they infected 7 people in a hotel. The employees of the hotel. Yeah, so it was in Bethlehem. It was fine. It was
Mm.
fine in that time. We had cases. They were not many. It was like one place. It could be controlled. It's fine. They closed Bethlehem. They put it under a lockdown. Then uh, yeah, a state of emergency was announced for 1 month.
When did this happen?
After that, we had
When did this happen?
a month ago actually.
Okay.
So the lockdown in Palestine started very early, like really, really quick decisions they took.
Okay.
And 3 days ago, I think, or 2 days ago, they extended the state of emergency for another month. So we had extra cases in different Palestinian places, different Palestinian cities, such as Hebron. Actually, we've got one case now announced in Hebron, near my house, near our neighborhood. It's 2 minutes away by car. So it was in through the Palestinian workers who work in Israel. We've got 300,000 Palestinians working at least in Israel. So they
Mm.
travel and come back every day or every week or every month, depends. So some of them, when they came back, they infected other people, because in Israel now it's really a catastrophe. Like, and anything happens in Israel affects us directly because we are living in the same state. Let's say
Mm.
it's same land. So a lot of mutual things, like, I mean, trade, work, business.
How is it
Um,
working now? No, now with what's going on now, how is it the going from Palestine to Israel, Israel to Palestine, the
you
whole
cannot
trip?
go now. It's a lockdown for everything. It's a curfew, complete curfew. Like in Israel, if you move for 100 meters out of your house, you're gonna go to jail, and you're gonna get a fine for 5,000 shekel, which equals 1,200 or 1,200 euro.
It's
So
that
you,
bad. You
yeah, it's in Israel. It's catastrophe now. They have more than. I'll talk for a minute about them, and then we'll get back to speak about Palestine. They've
okay?
got more than 7 or 8,000 people infected and a lot of death. The death didn't exceed like 100 so far, but
Mm.
they have this problem of religious people, religious Jewish people, the people who have neighborhoods or cities for only for them, like
Mm.
there is a city in Tel Aviv called something Barak, and they have got one out of three people is infected.
Okay.
It's a big number. It's a big statistic. So because they don't listen, they don't stay home. They don't stop gathering. They celebrate Shabbat. They celebrate holidays. They gather. They pray. They go to the synagogue. So they fucked up everything. And now in Israel, it's going viral. Coming back to here, um, so now there is a curfew. So you cannot get to Jerusalem, or Palestinians who live in Jerusalem cannot leave it. It's complete lockdown. It's a complete curfew. Here it's a curfew, but it's a romantic curfew, to be honest. In the West Bank, what do I mean by romantic curfew? It's people move, but with a lot of restrictions. Like it's allowed to move from 10 to 2 now, where things open, like banks open from 9 to 1. If you want to go withdraw money, buy food, buy anything, you have from 10 to 2. You can get what you want and then come back home. But you have to buy your things from the closest place to you. Like if you live in a neighborhood like my neighborhood, we have all shops around. Like the f- the like the farthest place I need to reach to buy all my things is only 5 minutes by walk or 10 minutes.
Okay.
So if I get caught by driving, going to another area which is like which has shops and things to buy, and I can get them from my neighborhood, I will be sent back to get them from there. I will not be allowed to pass through the checkpoints. So
Is
they
it
are doing
Palestinian
this.
checkpoint? لا ولا is that an Israeli checkpoint?
There are no
Palestinian.
Israeli checkpoints in the West Bank now.
Oh, والله.
No, and okay, let's make it more clear. In the country we have ABC. The country is divided into ABC.
Mm.
A is under Palestinian police control. You will not find Israeli checkpoints there
Yeah.
because normally there are no, but they go out and they make these checkpoints. Now they do it, but very little. But I don't think that, like, now the Israel is more like, is really more into organizing itself internally. So, like for example, in Hebron we have H1 and H2. H1 is under Palestinian police control. Israeli army go out, but not really as much as they used to do. And in H2 is under their control. It's 18 or 20% of the city, where it's their control. Palestinian police cannot go there, and they still put Israeli laws there. So it's the same. If you go out for 100 meters out of your house, and you're a Palestinian with a green ID, you're under the responsibility of the Palestinian Authority. You will still
Mm.
get the fine for the 1,200 euro and go to jail. Also, you live in the West Bank. You live in an area. It's under Israeli control because there are settlements there, but it's under like the whole city is under Palestinian police, or you are the responsibility for the Palestinian Authority. It's responsible for all the health stuff, all the services, everything. So it's a little bit complicated. This country can drive you crazy with geography and these
But
divisions
let's
geographically.
اسمع,
Yes.
let's dive deep into this rabbit hole. هلا to start with, يعني after coronavirus, the whole occupation and harassment has reduced. You won't get stopped in the streets now casually by the Israelis. No,
I don't get you again.
the harassment from Israeli settlers or police or
Yes.
whatever went down with the crisis with the corona.
No, it didn't.
Yeah?
No, 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 no. They still attack. They still do these stupid things. The settlers and the army, they go out and they arrest people. They still, they didn't. It didn't decrease, and it didn't increase. It's still the same. Yeah,
Functioning normally.
they don't stop. They still do this shit because they are used to do it. So, uh, yesterday or 2 days ago, the governor of Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, the Palestinian, he was arrested and he was forced to wear a mask and there was blood on it, which means it was used. And when he took it off, when he refused, he was beaten up. He's a governor. Um, there were some arrests around the West Bank. There was a video published of Israeli soldiers walking in different neighborhoods of Hebron in the middle of the night, spitting at cars and the on spitting on the floors, on the doors of the houses. There were videos published of settlers attacking Palestinians in South Hebron Hills. It's crazy. So even with Corona, it's still happening. Attacks are still happening. So it didn't stop at all. Uh, but let's say in internal in Palestine now, people and actually during the coronavirus time, a Palestinian was shot and killed near Ramallah by the
Mm.
Israeli army. Uh, so like in here, it's more people now. The attention of people now is to Corona. We have every day we have two press conferences by the Palestinian government. One done at 11 a.m. Palestine time, and one is done at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. Palestine time, announcing the cases. Now we have 261 cases. Today, the government announced the treatment of 18 Palestinians who had corona from Ramallah and Bethlehem, and they were sent back home. Actually, there were 4 Palestinians who needed ICU, and we are talking about 40 Palestinian kids having corona. We are talking about, I don't remember the number. I think something like 34 Palestinians over 60 they have corona now, and people who were treated in like the total number of treated people I think is 40, 41. uh, so including these people who were treated, the number is 300, 260 or 261, because this afternoon's press conference, a Palestinian from Hebron was announced as infected by corona. Yeah, so these are the statistics so far in Palestine. But people are afraid of the future. Actually, there are people afraid of the next days, because the next 2 weeks might hold a lot of news. Because there are maybe 50,000 people will be coming, Palestinians who work in Israel, will be traveling back to the West Bank, because there is Pesach, the Jewish holiday.
Okay.
It's Easter, the Jewish Easter. And they will come back to the West Bank because it will be 7 days. I don't know, 3 days, no, 7 days feast. And the Israeli government announced curfew in Israel, especially for those days, to prevent people from going out. It's another curfew. It's a double curfew. Um, to prevent Israelis from leaving. So these Palestinian workers will have to come back to the West Bank, And this is the big disaster because the Palestinian Authority cannot check samples for all of them, and they
How
cannot
many?
guarantee all of them.
How many?
50, more than 50,000 will be coming back one time in 1 or 2 days. So, like so far in Palestine, man, we have 15,000 samples were checked. Can you imagine? It's nothing. The number is very small compared to the
Mm,
number of the population. If we are talking about 6 million, 7 million Palestinians living in the country, for 15,000 checks or like samples is nothing. And
mm,
they did some random. What makes it scary that they did some random checks
okay.
and they found infected people.
Okay.
Random checks means people who were not mixing or didn't mix with infected people. There were people who they caught in the street. Like they stopped in the street, they took samples from them, and they told them go home. Like someone is driving his car or something, stopped him. Yeah, give me like got sample from him, and they had corona. Can you imagine? Which means it's a big problem actually because in this case it's okay. That means that we have more people infected. It's not
Mm,
only checking workers who come back from Israel or people who mixed with people who are infected with corona. It's also like random checks. Give us numbers. So the government was asked today during the press conference about a statistic for how many people who were checked randomly had the corona, but they didn't have an answer because they said we are still making more checks, and we are gonna make a special press conference for to talk about this, and they will start be giving statistics about these random checks, how many people were found infected, depending on the cities. And now the worst situation in Palestine is in Ramallah and in the villages of the northwest Jerusalem, which is under Palestinian control.
so
So
basically, areas closer to who's in more contact with the Israelis, one way or the other.
again,
With the areas that got more contact with the Israelis, more or less.
like you mean the East Jerusalem?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has. The villages of East Jerusalem have some villages have really bad situation. I mean, we have in Ramallah, and because it's they're very close. Like these are out of the separation wall, and they're near Ramallah. Like we have villages of Ramallah like Biddo, Qatanna, Deir Jrir,
Mm.
other villages, and from the East Jerusalem, they have really bad situation. A lot of people who are infected are from there.
طيب, bro, do you think now the Palestinians are kind of united against the whole virus thing? Well, everybody is
Ah,
still busy with their own stuff. Or everybody, like people still, there is lack of trust
no,
with the government. Everybody's doing his own shit.
no, no. It's different actually. It made a lot of things different. The first of all, people are super happy the way the government is dealing with the situation
Mm.
because they did well. Our new prime minister is really good man. I wouldn't say politically because I don't know him because he's new, but dealing with this crisis, he's an expert. So he did the right thing,
Mm.
and people more now are supportive to the security, to the Palestinian security who stand in the street and make the checkpoints. You would go to a checkpoint and would see people bringing them dinner, lunch, drinks, a lot of things, tea, coffee, so much.
Ah.
So uh, the spokesperson of the government is called Dr. Ibrahim Milham, and he's a journalist. And he was teaching at Abu Dis University in the journalism department. People they love him. People accept his face on the screen. He's a person is good to he's very good in speaking to people. He knows how to speak to people. Um, he's able to deal with this crisis and the news that he gets every morning. His face reactions are very good. That's what people say, and I think yes. So let's say now the Palestinian government is more supported by people than before. especially because the crisis is against everyone, and the work that the government is doing is for people. So people are kind of appreciating this, and they do understand this. Gaza, the West Bank, and Gaza, it's as the news said 2 days ago, there was a call between Ismail Haniyeh, the president of the political office of Hamas, and the prime minister. And as it was described, it was a warm call. So, uh, yeah, so it's good, I think. But in Gaza, let's talk about Gaza because it's very important. I would also include Gaza because
Yeah.
Gaza has some cases of corona. Some people were treated. I think it's only 12 or 13 people in Gaza infected by corona, and it was people who traveled and came back. They were quarantined on the border with Egypt by the Palestinian police, by the Hamas police, and later on they were found infected, and then they moved this infection with other to other people who not people, they were police, the police who work on the border, who quarantine, who mixed with them, they were infected, so they were also put in quarantine and then found infected. So far it's not inside Gaza, let's say, I mean inside Gaza, it's on the border.
Mm.
So it's still fine, but they need a lot of medical help. So the Palestinian government sent a lot of medical supplies to Gaza.
So there is solidarity. It is town
Yes,
solidarity.
I would
Government
say
level,
yes.
people's level.
Yeah, it's helping. It's Corona is helping Palestinians get united, man.
But it's not on average, on average, do you think the average Palestinian is worried about the virus at the moment, or worried about the economical situation that will come afterwards, and especially that most shops are closed, to very few businesses are opened? Well, the people are worried about the political implications on the aftermath of the corona. Like, what is where are you now?
People are worried about everything. You would, if you talk to people, you would hear a lot of things from them. The first thing are people are worried about now is the next uh, few weeks, let's say, and how would they be able to afford their daily needs while not being at work, like while not working and not getting paid. So we have people like the employees of the government, people who work for the government, for the educational ministry, people who work in schools and in hospitals. They got their full salary now for this
Mm.
month, but for the
For
next
every,
month, for not for March, for April, it could be half salary or no salary. And for workers, there are people who work every day and they get paid if they work, and they don't get paid if they don't work. They started to suffer now. So there are these charities that are helping, bringing food, boxes of food to the families who need this. But I still, it's this kind of help is not popular. Is not get is big now. It's very small, because we have been in this as other cities in the West Bank only since not much, not long. Like the curfew is only the curfew happened 14, 15, 16 days ago, something like this. So some people, people did have money yet, like before. They spent some money for this, but people are worried about the next days, because I think in the next days more people will be in need for money, because they will run out of money that they saved, and then we would see a lot of problems actually. So I wouldn't say people are worried about politics. People are not worried about what's going to happen after Corona, because people are thinking about what they're living now.
mm.
They're thinking about how can I afford um, a dinner and the lunch for my family, and I don't have any money. And the government is trying to do some help. Charities are trying to do some help. People themselves are trying to do some help. Rich people, not rich people. I mean, like people who have money.
Middle class is taking
Yes,
care of the
not
poor one.
really rich people are not really. appearing in this. Not like Jordan, for example. If I compare it to Jordan, in Jordan, you saw, man, like in the first day, you would see different companies donating to the government to help in this. In
Mm.
Palestine, we only saw few, 3 to 4, maybe. Palestine Bank donated with 6 million. There was a man, a rich man, a middle class man, is not very rich. In Hebron, he donated with million shekel. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, it's something like 200,000, 200,000 euro.
euros.
So yeah, it's not big. It's not very big, the donations
But I
so
guess it's
far.
different because like people in Palestine will support each other's directly with food, with the stuff, with things. If you need anything, you
That's what
just
is happening now.
yeah. It's different from I don't know supporting government. As long as people
Yeah.
support each other's, it's good.
But in I don't know in how long, I don't know, because we still don't know how long is this taking. That's the first problem. The second
Nobody.
problem is a lot of people who would start helping their neighbors, they and after 1 month they will not have money to help their neighbors, and then this is a problem, if you
Uh,
get me. Because who is really helping are middle class people. Like I have a group of friends who have a running group. They run marathons.
mm,
They started collecting donations from people they know and buy food, put it in boxes, and give it to poor families. It was more like on youth groups, efforts, youth groups, campaigns, and this is good. Why to
mm.
wait the government? Let's do it ourselves. And I
You're
think this
still
is very
part of
important thing.
you're still part of Youth Against Settlement. Well, you're not that
Yep,
active
man.
anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, where are you at the moment?
Um, you know that our center got attacked 2 days ago. They painted over the Palestine flag. They cut down the fence. Uh, so they're crazy. It's located in Tel Meda, but we don't have any activities now because of Corona. So everything is closed.
Mm.
Everything is shut, and we all live nearby. So we go. We can reach it, but no activities. No, no.
Man, I don't know. The thing is, I'm Palestinian, but I have a Jordanian passport. I've always lived in Jordan, so I know
Yeah,
nothing about Palestine. Yet when people ask me when I travel, where are you from? I always say like I'm Palestinian, but I know nothing.
yeah, because you haven't lived here.
No, no, man. What's so different, the perspective on Palestine from a Jordanian perspective versus a Palestinian perspective who lives there.
Yeah,
It's weird. It's funny how we don't know anything.
because it's just that like I learned something. I learned something when you are like, for example, I traveled to South Africa. I'm not South African, okay? I'm not gonna compare it that much to this. But as much as you hear about something, it's not as you live it, or it's not as you go to live it. When I went to South Africa, it was something I never expected. It was something crazy. I got to really understand what's going on there. Before, no, it's you hear things, but when you go there, you never forget it. So not living in the country, not experiencing this is a little bit not easy for you to know a lot. And one other thing, um, you were told a lot of stories, but you never seen an Israeli soldier, for example, holding an M16. So it's not easy. It's understandable, but it doesn't make you stop from learning, reading, learning,
But man, I
asking.
felt I felt I felt a gap in knowledge and awareness between Europe and Jordan, and in a weird way, man, I've seen more people in Europe aware of the Palestinian situation than Jordanians. In Jordan, it's just it's part of the identity, that you got the
Yeah.
Palestinian cause, but it's part of your identity, so you don't really dig deep into it. It's always there.
Yes.
Unlike for like the average European who see about this and explore the truth himself. So he get into the rabbit hole and then he be shocked of what's going on. So you
There
see
are
more.
Palestinians who don't really know. People who live here. It's not about
Mhm.
this. Yeah, as you said, you're born as an Arab, loving Palestine. So you don't really choose, or you don't
Mm.
think about choosing. It's you're born, and you're with Palestine, or you consider it your case. So when you consider something your case, you wouldn't really get so much deep in it because it's you, it's yours. When it's about Europeans, when they want to get convinced about something, they start reading because they want to make to make a point of view on something. So they start asking, but it's different from you. You are born with it. It's your case. So you don't look for anything because it's your case.
Well, man, I'm 30 now. The first time I actually met an Israeli was when I was 27, 28 in Vietnam.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like that's the first
yeah,
time I met someone from Israel who
yeah.
it's just different, man. It's like, oh, real people, like us.
Yeah, a lot of in during and before 1948, when they started occupying Palestine, and a lot of Palestinian refugees left their villages because they left because they didn't want to get killed. So they said, "We go and we come back later." And an Israeli soldier was considered as a monster, not a human. Uh, so people thought they're monsters. They're not even humans when they were committing massacres in other villages, and this was on radio and people are hearing about it. So they say, "Oh, who's committing this? They are monsters." And then they discovered they were humans.
Man, so like the first time I actually had a conversation with an Israeli was 2 years ago. You realize we got different starting point of history. Like the narrative is so different. Our story starts with 1948
They start
occupation.
3,000 years ago.
Yeah, like at least like the focus point of what they start is Hitler
Holocaust.
and the Nazis and how they are oppressed and they finally found a home, so they lived in it. So it's always the two
All
perspective in things in a weird way, man.
Yeah, also they have nothing to do with the Holocaust because during Holocaust Israel didn't exist. And this was against Jews, not Israel. It's like a lot of other massacres that happened in history. Uh, and it was horrible for sure. It was horrible, and every massacre happening or happened, it's horrible. But why would you commit another Holocaust to other people and you were a victim of something like this? That's the question. But
I
they
think
always
I
they always
think there
go
are
go back to yeah.
there are two types of Jewish people when it comes to the lesson learned in history. Some of them are the one like Bernie Sanders, for example. He's at the end of
Yes.
the day he's Jewish, but you realize that the Jewish history made people sympathize with all the minorities around the world. Because they don't want to
Yeah.
see people being oppressed. So this is one part of the population. The other part is the one that the lesson learned was. We shouldn't let this happen to us again. So we should defend ourselves, just protect each other's, support each
You
other's.
mean Jews?
Yeah, but it's like the lesson in
No, no.
history, people
Like
understand.
people like Bernie Sanders and other people, Tal Shapiro, Bernie Sanders, and who else? Amira Haas, she's a writer in Haaretz, in a newspaper in Israel. People like what's his name? Like, there's a guy who wrote a book. Uh, I forgot his name.
Ronnie,
I forgot what book. Hmm?
not Ronnie. Which book? Yuval Noah Harari.
There is one book. Wait, there's one book. The Generals. It's called The General's Son. Was done by. I'm really forgetting names now. Give me a
Anyhow,
second.
no need to remember the name, man. Let's
Miko
focus.
Peled. Miko Peled. He wrote The
Okay.
General's Son. And there is another writer. He's very famous, in a Jewish writer. I forgot his name. I will remember it. I will tell you. And people who believe in others, in other people's rights, and there are people who don't believe in other people's rights, and that's the difference. The thing is in Israel, it's mostly right wing people. So people who are left wing are not heard in Israel, and they are not given a chance to speak in schools,
They
for
leave the
example.
country, man. They leave the country.
Yes, and a lot of left wing people, they just went out. They couldn't
Yeah.
live.
They find it's a place that I cannot live in it. Don't want to be in direct conflict with the Jewish identity and the state of Israel, so I'd rather leave and live somewhere else.
Yeah, because they also see that Israel is using religion, Judaism, to gain benefits out of other countries, and also out of everything. They use religion to make
Mm.
Israel exist and justify their crimes. If you say something bad about Israel, you're an anti-Semite, and that's not true. You're not against Judaism. I'm against you, as you can be against Daesh, and you're not anti-Islam. ISIS, and you're not anti-Islam because ISIS is doing something wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
what they should understand, or the world should understand, is when there's something bad, we call it bad. When there is something good, we call it good. That's it. It's not against Jews. It's not against Muslims. It's not against Christians. It's not against non-believers. It's just people who are doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. It's too easy, man. It's very easy. Why do you make it
I
complicated?
It's
That's what they don't
more
understand.
complicated. People are so emotional, man. People are so emotional. It's always us versus them. It's always us versus them.
And
Whatever us are and whatever them are, but there's always us and them.
the thing is, do you know more Amir Zahir? He said, we don't hate Jews. They don't hate us. We just have a complicated relationship.
Man,
We're cousins, man.
an Iranian journalist, I
Yeah.
wrote something that went viral, which said about the American government. Like she said, we as people and you are people, the difference between us um, uh, isn't that much, and our government and your government, the difference between them isn't that much as well, and they are the bad ones, like, so the whole conflict is government hating each other's, and then you feel the sense of nationalism. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Look at
they're
look
the
at
problem.
Yemen. Look at Yemen now, and look at a lot of other countries like Yemen and Syria, and you would see, Russia, U.S., Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Hezbollah are fighting together each other on a Syrian land, or in Yemen. So you would see the Israeli airplanes going to attack Syria. This whole politics is shit. It's just, I don't prefer religious people, and I don't prefer political people. I don't, because, for example, look at in Israel, those religious people, or people who call themselves religious, they're just using their religion to attack people, to attack other people, and to justify their attacks, like Mr. Netanyahu, or Bibi, and Gannett, and who's gonna be maybe the, I don't know what, and all of these people, like, they just use different things. And I know that in Israel, why Israel is strong, it's referred to its strong security level, let's say, and uh, what is it, technology, the technology of security, because a lot of other countries depend on it. And also, what else, also, like, the controlling the media all over the world. Like, media in the US, for example, is controlled by the Zionist lobby, and in many other countries in the world. So that's why, for example, when there is an attack on Gaza, you don't hear much about it on CNN, that we as Palestinians being killed. You only hear that there's a rocket went from Gaza to Israel. You don't hear about the 200 rockets that hit Shuja'iyya. Uh, uh, like one of the attacks on Gaza 2014, where Shuja'iyya, in the morning at 5 a.m., it was completely destroyed. And I don't know how many people died on that day. I think at least 200 Palestinians in Shuja'iyya in Gaza. Media doesn't talk about it. So what forms people's minds and points of view is media. And as long as media is shit, I think as Palestinians and as minorities in the world, as oppressed people all over the world, we will be suffering. We will not be having a good time. That's why a lot of people prefer social media now. And I think social media is a little bit kicking the ass of TVs and, these typical media channels and typical media stations, because people are depending on it more. Abdullah disappeared. Abdullah. Live in zero. Sure, yeah, man.
I don't know if you're still live or not, man.
Are we all still on the same live?
Maybe. Eh, I lost last part you said, man. I lost last part you said.
I was talking about media around the world. It forms people's points of view.
Mm.
And as long as media is shut, minorities and oppressed people all over the world will still be having a problem of not being believed and of not being supported and not getting the rights. Like people of Yemen, people in Palestine, people of Palestine, but people of West Sahara. It's a lot of cases. People in Georgia who are oppressed by the Russians, people in Ukraine, people in I don't know, everywhere around the world, there are oppressed people. There are
I
people
think,
suffering.
man, people, now with the internet, with social media, people know. But the thing is, man, there's oppression everywhere. And no, 15 years ago, yeah, Palestine was one of the few countries that were living under severe cases. But
Now it's a lot of other places. Syria,
yeah,
for
now you don't even, man, hear about Palestine in the media. And Syria and Yemen are taking over the news, you know?
yeah, you would be on the news if only if something crazy happens. Like I don't know what, but I
Mm.
kind of understand this. It's crazy all over the world now, and I was talking about social media actually. I was saying that social media is kicking the ass of these channels, these big companies
But even
of
social media,
broadcasting.
man, you already know the Mossad are hiring people just to have a pro-Israeli propaganda on social media. I think the Emiratis are also doing it. Qataris are owning lots of media outlet and lots of influence, lots of social media influencers.
But
Uh,
it, but still, believe me, it won't be. I think social media is ours. Is for the young people who want to show the reality to the world. And a video can go viral like this, and they cannot just even delete it.
But what will you do afterwards? And we've seen the video of the Palestinian guy being killed by the big tractor machine.
Yes, in Gaza by the
Yeah,
bulldozer.
by
Not
a
the
bulldozer.
bulldozer,
Yeah.
Jarrafe. It's a
Ah,
bulldozer. Yeah.
bulldozer. Yes, yes. Then what? You see another video of someone else. I feel that people built tolerance to fucked up shit around the world. Like this became the norm.
Maybe we will not be able to change the world, and that's something I read. But maybe we can change somebody's word. I'm sure. So at least if we couldn't prevent the killing, at least this story reach a lot of people around the world, and that's the important part. Um, Maybe we cannot save the world, but yeah, at least change or save or change somebody's word, like the kids who were killed in the beach in Gaza, people who were the kid who died in Europe, who was on the beach, who drowned, and who was, there's a picture of
I
him, the
can't hear you
Syrian
well,
kid.
man. Your mic got issues.
سامعني? You hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. I know,
I'm
dude.
talking, for example, like the picture of the kid on the beach in one of the countries in Europe, uh, the Syrian kid
Mm.
on the beach.
Yeah, that
At
photo
least
was.
if at least if you cannot change the world, at least, or prevent this from happening, maybe you prevent other stories from happening, um, after this kind of pictures get viral and videos.
But I
I
don't
think it's
think so, man.
important.
Like I wanna challenge this idea because I think if you're a good person, you're a good person. And when you see such a photo, it will move
Affect
some
you.
emotions inside of you. But if you don't really give a fuck, you won't give a fuck. If you do bad shit, you'll still do bad shit.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, um, like the fact that it is such photos are circulating among communities that already support the cause isn't doing anything. What is this support? Changing profile picture on Facebook. Yeah, I'm supporting. You know.
Yeah, the problem is the big change is not happening, which we wish.
I think, man,
But
to do
somebody, but I believe that somebody changing at least his profile picture is something good.
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. لأنه on a psychological level, when you change your profile picture to something, you'll get this dopamine, that your brain need as if you did an achievement and you did something good. So it kind of prevents you from doing real achievements in life, because you can get small doses of dopamine doing small efforts. It's like
No,
cigarettes,
we were
you
not
know?
saying that. We were not saying that changing your Facebook profile picture is enough, but it's at least something, and it shouldn't stop there. You should be doing something in real life, not only on social media, for sure.
Thing is,
Uh,
man, you said something, change is hard. But the thing is, the first step to
change is
change,
not easy. It's
I
one of
think,
the hardest things
I
to
think,
do.
man, the problem is we gotta agree on what kind of a change do we want to head towards. Well, as long as we don't have an alternative to the current situation, we won't be going anywhere. Look at Lebanon, man. The demonstration in Lebanon. We don't want the same government. We don't. Okay, what do you want? You know, like
No,
they raise the list, but then nobody
people
puts up
people
on
know
the
people know what they want. People, they have demands. There are demands. But the problem is trying to show them as bad people, as the Lebanese government did, um, showing them as bad people, showing them as traitors, um, targeting girls who were in the protests and talking about how they dressed and they turned it into a disco. That's how people protest. It doesn't concern you. People are asking you to stop being corrupted. People are asking you to give them their rights. That's it. People don't want you to be corrupt. That's it. But I think the problem of the Arab world is we don't really have someone to lead. Like, let's say now I did a revolution in Palestine against my government or
Mm,
wherever.
mm.
Who would and we had elections. Who am I gonna vote for? I don't think there's anyone I would vote for because I don't see any leader. I'm not seeing leaders. There is a big lake in leaders in the world now, and good people in political positions are really really little. You can count them, actually. It's like in Israel, the elections for Palestinians, who to choose. There was the Arab Joint List. Okay, I would vote for them because they're Arabs. I'm not gonna vote for them because I'm convinced of their strategy. Okay, but there was Benny Gantz and there was Netanyahu. They're both shit. There was Likud and there was Kahol Lavan, for example. Who am I gonna vote for? They're both shitty, or Israel Baituna. All of them are shit. Like, I did post something during the first, because they had three elections. I
Mm.
did post three or two. I don't know. They had a lot of elections recently. They didn't form a government. I published a picture of a speech or a quote from every one of them, said about Palestine, and all of them mean the same thing, that they want to kill all of us. There is no so far Israeli leader that I would say, yeah, if Israelis voted for him, then Palestinians can live freely and Palestinians will have back their rights. Similar to the US, Trump, Hillary Clinton, who you vote for, both are shit. Where did we have elections in the Arab world recently? There is no, we don't elect.
No, we
We
don't.
don't like elections. We consider it as a conspiracy, man. we cannot vote. Like,
No, man, at
Tunisia, for
least,
example.
you know what the thing is?
Tunisia. I'm impressed by the Tunisian experience in the last elections, in the Tunisian laws, for example, that make men and women equal, for example, or making people, you can have your rights. They've got a good president, I guess.
I just,
Absolutely, you will have people who don't like him and people who will like him, but at the end people went to vote for a professor in a university, not for a political person, and that's good. At least you get out of this circle of same people being in the government for 90 years. They were ministers, they were ambassadors, and then they become presidents or vice president. They're always there. Get someone from outside the box, from outside the circle, from outside this place, and that's what we hope we have.
but
Uh,
the thing is, any person with the possibility of being a leader, in Palestine, they will be detained, man. They will be like Basil al-Arash, for example. He'll be betrayed by the Palestinian Authority before the Israelis.
yeah, yeah.
You're not allowed to be a political leader, man. What's the name of your buddy, Isa Amro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he still in prison or he went out? Just for
No, he was not in prison. He's facing trials
uh,
in
still
both courts, Israeli and Palestinian,
for what?
for his activism.
You get me? So that's a person with the potential of being a leader. But then you'll be in a position to be choosing between your own personal life and I want to live, I want to, raise my children, have a wife,
Yeah,
and between
yeah,
changing.
I agree with you. You're not. you're not allowed to be created as a leader in the country. You're destroyed from the very early beginning
Mm.
by those people who don't let you become a leader, or don't let you do something. And that's the problem of our Arab countries in general, not only in Palestine. Uh,
Do you
I
think,
think this
Mark,
is everywhere. Hmm?
when you think about the Palestinian cause, do you think a solution can come up from young Israelis and young Palestinians together, like those generation of people who are fed up of this shit? Man, I've met a girl before that she faked having mental issues, okay, a mental
Not to
disease,
go to the army.
not to go to the army, and the percentage of those people is increasing,
It
I
is
don't know.
increasing, but it will start increasing very fast. There is a problem in Israel. You have the right wing people who say kill all Arabs, and there are the left right. You know, they're
Yeah, then
left wing, but when there is a crisis, they become completely right. And there are the left people, and the left people are not many. Okay, and even if you're saying that the number is increasing, but it's not increasing fast. You know, so I don't really know. I think there is a lot. There are some Israeli um, groups that are working against the occupation, but unfortunately, they're not effective inside of the Israeli community. And why? Because most of the Israeli community are are right wing. It's not. You cannot change them. These right wing people, it's completely hard to change them. If you're not a person who is creative and you have something in your mind from before about human rights, you wouldn't believe in it. Those people, left wing people who are working for Palestine, there are people who had this part of their mind of, yeah, I'm not it's not only me living on this land. There are other people who don't have rights, so I have to work with them or for them and support them. And unfortunately, as I said, there are not many who are like this in Israel. And
but
there
do
are
you
people for sure who don't care. They
put
don't
it
care.
this way? Do you think there is a chance of a potential alliance between Palestinian who want their rights and the true left people in Israel, or not really?
No, I think there is now.
There is a
I
chance.
think there is. It's happening, and it's happening since years. It's not since today, where Palestinians and left wing Israeli groups working together against the occupation, and they're being fought both sides by the Israeli government. Uh, but as I said, the problem is not of saying, yeah, would I work with an Israeli or not now, with a left wing Israeli, because that's not the problem. That's not the point. The point is, will do you think we will be able to make that change or not? This is the question. And the second question that you would ask is uh, when this change will happen.
So
Um,
man, I think, man, with the aftermath of the financial crisis that we're in, and I don't think, man, the virus issue is as significant as the economical collapse that we will face.
yeah, the
Um,
economic collapse
with
will be
this
a big
with
disaster.
this, man, like when you said, when will there be a change? I think, like probably within the next year it'll be the best chance to have a change, because it'll be chaotic, and in
No,
times
but
of chaos it's a possibility to start something new. But this is
if
why I asked you. This is why I asked you. Like, for example, man, if a Palestinian dude is to be working with Israeli guys on a joint project against the occupation, what will be the average opinion among other Palestinians toward this dude? Like, is he a traitor because he works with Israelis, or he's doing a good thing?
it depends. It depends. There are Palestinians because you have different mentalities in the country. You have different backgrounds. There are people who wouldn't accept to work with an Israeli at all. Left wing, right wing, wherever, whatever. There
Mm.
are people who do believe. It just depends. If you cannot have a percentage. You cannot have a statistic for how many people would accept and how many people would refuse. The
Mm.
thing is, um, we say one thing, and always when I heard it before, anyone believes in my cause, anyone believes in my right, or rights is welcome to work with me. I think it's very important to win those people who believe in your right and to work with you to get you right. First of all, because they're responsible for the occupation, and every Israeli is responsible for what's happening to us. It's absolutely something we believe in here. Um, and the second thing is because they are good people and they want to help. Why don't I get them to my side? Um, why to leave them work on their own without asking the Palestinians what do they want? Because when the change will happen, it's the Palestinians who should say what do they want. It's not the Israelis who would tell us what do we want. Um, Not the left wing people and not anyone, not the government. It's us. What do we want?
Do
What do
you
we
know
want
what
to
you
get? What
want?
do we want to achieve?
What you
For
want?
sure, I know.
What do you want?
Absolutely, man.
Tell me.
Me,
Yeah.
I want to be equal with other young people all over the world. I don't want to be stopped by three checkpoints when I get out of my house to get uh, you know to get some food. I don't want to have a night raid to my house by an Israeli soldier for no reason. I don't want to be able. I don't want to be prevented from going to Jerusalem. I don't want to be prevented from going to the beach in Jaffa or in Tel Aviv.
So one
That's what I
state.
want. One or two states, I don't care.
Nobody. But
Whatever. I
the
think
thing.
that I think the solution which brings me my right as a human being is welcome. I don't really care if they will do one state or two states because I don't think that even if they do two-state solution, it will be two states. It will be one state because,
Mm.
as I told you, we are so dependent on each other, both sides, and
How
it's
the
the same
Israelis?
land. How can you make borders between the same land? Even when there is closure now, like I mean these not with corona, but I'm talking about in general, there is a separation wall. There are 50,000 Palestinians who jump the wall every day, work in Jerusalem and Israel, and they come back.
Mm.
Come on, man, you can never prevent Palestinians from going there or prevent Israelis from reaching the other side.
With
So it will be one state anyway.
those Palestinians working in Israel, do you think they are needed by Israel because they provide relatively cheap labor?
It's not about no, it's not cheap labor.
No?
They get well paid actually,
Really?
but it's not about them. Yes, but Israel is depending a lot on them. I would tell you why. First of all, um, why for Israelis or for the Israeli government to have Palestinian workers working in Israel is better than bringing immigrants from other countries? Is first of all the money we get as Palestinian workers will be spent inside the country.
Mm.
For immigrants or for people who would come from outside Israel, from outside the country here, they would be sending money back to their families, and it will be spent there, not here. So for
Mm.
Israel to have Palestinian workers is better, for sure. First of all, and the second thing is, to be honest, the Palestinian workers who work in Israel, they're very well workers. I mean, they do things very well, and they work hard. You know, which is good for the people who do the business there or the work, or who own the job. So for different reasons, but for sure they depend on them, and that's why when the beginning of the crisis happened of Corona, Israel did not tell the Palestinian workers go back to the West Bank and don't stay here. No, they wanted them to continue working. Also, it's over their it's on their health, and their life or lives. So they still did it. They still told them stay, and they still did the work, and they still told them, yeah, you can do it. That's it. Because they didn't want to stop the economy in Israel, and that's what caused the problem to Israel with coronavirus. Actually, if you get what I say, Abdullah.
Yeah.
Um, it's very, it's always about economy. If
At
you get
the
what
end
I
of the
mean,
day, yes.
everything is about economy here, all over the world now. You saw Boris Johnson. You saw England. They wanted to continue the life and do this,
Herd
to have
community.
everyone infected, and that's it.
Yeah.
What do they call it in English? I don't know.
Herd,
We say مناعة القطيع in Arabic.
herd community, herd immunity.
Herd immunity.
Yeah, same. مناعة القطيع, man. Eh,
It's because they didn't want to destroy their economy. There is no way. There is no way to run from the destruction from the economic collapse, which is gonna happen. Even if you still opening your country, all the world will be affected by this.
this is the
And
point,
I think the affection of it will be worse than corona affection.
100%, man. And the economical collapse will affect the Palestinians and the Israelis, and it will affect everyone, you know?
But it will affect poor countries more.
I know, of course, man. It will affect, for example, in this
Like
case, it will
Jordan,
affect,
Palestine, Yemen,
yes,
Italy, Spain, Greece,
I agree,
Africa,
man.
maybe also.
This is why, man, I think when you said when should the change happen, I think this is a good opportunity, don't you think? If the world's gonna collapse, if the economic will collapse, where people won't find food, or money or whatever, it'll be a good reason to spark a movement. All that is missing is a leader, I guess.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think now with coronavirus case, a lot of people around the world started feeling each other. You know,
Mm.
I think before corona, we reached a point in the world where humans don't give a fuck about each other anymore, and humans don't work for each other anymore, and humans are so greedy. Humans are, and this was shown during corona. Even you would see supermarkets in Europe or in some countries here in even in Palestine. It's completely empty. Like an old man would go to buy something and would find nothing. It's just people running for their own, interests. I need to get this and this and this, and I don't care about other people. I need to get this and this. They're not thinking about each other. But now, when we're going more deep in this, I think there are some good parts of it. There are some bad parts of it. Of this situation, there are some benefits. There are some losses. So we need to see. I think one of the benefits of this lockdown on the world is that, let's say, less pollution is happening. We're not seeing that many flights. It's good for the environment. um, I think the world is taking a rest from us.
I don't know, man, if us is the problem or 1% of us are the problem.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah. It's like,
I
I think it's
don't,
us.
man. I don't
I think
want to
it's
be.
us in general.
I don't want to be blamed on climate change, on destroying the planet. My contribution to destroying the planet is minimal. Me as an individual with my lifestyle, So I refuse to
Yes,
be.
but if you collect, if you
I
if you would say if you would say if you would say if you would think about individually about it, you would say that, yes, I'm not using that much. But if you were talking about a whole country, 10
man.
million or 20
it's
million,
it,
then
again
it's a
again
different thing.
again it's not man, it's not us, it's not the people, it is the mode of production that we have, man. It's producing more than we need. I've seen a meme, man, like today, that says it's funny how the economy tanked when people only bought what they need, you know
I think it's us, but with different percentages.
yeah.
Like
um
maybe me, I'm participating in this, like in, I don't know, 0.00001%. There are people who are participating in this maybe 6% or 2%. There are people who are participating in
it's
this 20%.
يعني your contribution, man, your
It's
contribution.
not that much as other people.
Not other people. I don't care about people. As like, for example, a big meat industry firm, that
Yeah.
butchers thousands of cows every day on a machine basis.
Yes.
Those are the major part of the issue. When you see it, when there is a profit motive that forbids you as a factory owner of taking care of the environment, because taking
Yeah,
care of the environment will cost money. It will reduce your profit. But it's the whole mode of production that we live in, man, is causing the problem.
I
Uh,
agree. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot of things, not only one thing, man. It's so many things, and it's the price we pay, because of a modern life. If you get what I say.
it is, man. It is. It is. I don't know if we're being civilized in the wrong direction or the right direction anymore, man.
Uh,
We need
I don't know
respect.
if we're going really on the right direction. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, man.
The world was much better before.
Are you optimistic about the future or not really, man?
Um, I'm I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future, but I don't think for the soon future. I think there should be more work by people, by young people to change. And I think people who want to make the change are much more than people who don't want to make a change. But there's a difference between us. There are people who want to make the change and they're active, and there are people who don't want to make the change, want to make the change and they're not active. And like that girl Greta, from Norway, who spoke about the climate change and who started the campaign. She got viral, and I think that's a positive thing. That's a nice thing.
I don't
She
think
took
it's
a
a
step.
positive thing. I don't think it's a positive thing, man. I think it's
Why?
a negative thing. لأنه like the climate strike, man, it is the most privileged strike in history.
Yeah.
When it's perspectives. You see people in Syria and Yemen, man, they are dying every day from war, from famine, from shit. And then you see a global rally of let's care about the climate. Like the least that you
Yeah,
could
they
do,
won't care.
the least,
They won't
literally, man,
care.
the least that you could do is link it to the source of the problem, that is capitalism, man. Like this is the least. It should have
I
an
agree. I
economical
completely agree.
narrative to it. It
I
became so
completely agree.
emotional. A young child starting a movement.
But
It's
maybe this
sad,
could lead
man.
to what you this maybe this can lead or could lead or can lead to what you think, could connecting this or relating this to this problem to capitalism, if you get what I mean.
I
I mean,
think.
if it is started like this, it's good. Maybe then in the future we can change something in it itself, and then
Mm,
or it could make it easier for other campaigns to be around, which is related to blaming capitalism for a lot of problems that are happening to us as humans, or to the world, or to the plants, let's say. But yeah, as you said, for people who are living in Syria, in Idlib, for example, for Palestinians, for a lot of people, climate change is the least, or the last thing they,
it's
they
like we
care
have
about,
90,
or they
99.
think about talking about.
Yeah.
I was asked before by someone, yeah, why don't you Palestinians don't take care of, I don't know, why don't you care about climate change? I said, like, humans are dying here, like people are getting killed by humans. Do you think they really care about climate change? Like, there are priorities in our lives, and when you are a person who gets everything, you go to university for free, you're not facing a tank during the morning, during your morning run to school, and you don't have soldiers raiding your house. Yeah, I would care. You would care then about climate change because you have no problems in your life. But when you are a human who is afraid of being killed by a tank, not a climate change, so this is gonna be a priority for you to work against. But I
100%, man.
would say, like, it depends always on people all over the world. What are their problems? And I would say that if the change will happen, it will happen only when people around the world are united and fighting for the same cause, and starting from the most important to the less important, to the less important, to the less important. That's what I think. I think the life of humans is the most important, and uh, climate, the climate and the environment is also important. But save the human's life first, then ask them to work, for environment. You cannot come to people in Idlib and tell them, yeah, let's do a campaign for environment, because in Syria, Idlib is Syria, for people who are following and they don't get what I say, or they don't get the name. if you come to people in Syria, like in Idlib, and tell them let's do a campaign for environment, they would tell you, "Fuck off, man. Do a campaign for us to build houses to live in. We're living in tents. If Corona reaches there, it's a disaster." So this is what there are priorities for those oppressed people or those victims,
Well, I think, man,
and you cannot just come on.
you have a pool, you have a limited capacity of the thing that you care about. You know, you can care about
Yeah, I agree.
10, 15 things maximum, you know?
There are so many problems around the world. Let's just hope Corona ends so we can go out again and
Fair,
go to
fair.
cafes and
So,
friends, man, because this is just crazy.
Isma, I studied entrepreneurship in my master's, and I remember they told us you should find a problem, fall in love with the problem, so you can find the solution to it, and then you can come up with a good startup idea, you know. But like they kept insisting on falling in love with the problem, not falling in love with the solution. So I'm gonna ask you this on a social level: what is the problem that you see yourself falling into, you know, the one that takes lots of your thinking, I would say?
Now,
Mm.
the social problem, you mean?
Any problem you want to focus on and find a solution to. Like,
No, I
what
don't
is
get the I don't get the question. You mean
what is the
during
top
Corona time or what?
what is the top thing on the priority list of the thing that you care about at the moment?
In general,
Mm.
if we talk about now, we would talk about the situation which the world has.
Now, what is
Yes.
on your, yeah.
And then absolutely, it's about my country. Like, I mean, my problem is the occupation. This is the biggest problem I'm having as a Palestinian. So I would say this is a priority for people here. But I think now the most thing that people think about, including me, is the Corona thing, the Corona crisis and the pandemic, and uh, it makes me feel like, we are having a completely different you know way of life now, and it reminds me of something we lived as Palestinians in 2000 during the second Intifada, because we were locked uh, in our houses for a long time, and when people are complaining around the world of being home for like 1 month now, I would say, yeah, I couldn't go to my school for 3 months, where I couldn't even get out of my house to play, and I was like hearing like the sound of bombs and shooting. So it reminds me of something from the past.
It's reminding me
That's
of
why it's not
war,
easy.
man. So the corona is like a war, huh?
The Corona is like a war, but the enemy that you're having is not seen. You cannot see it. It's invisible. It's not visible.
It's
That's
not,
the problem.
uh,
That's the problem. Someone was telling me like, yeah, the second Intifada when it happened, at least you could know who is your enemy. If you will get killed, you know who's gonna kill you. You see the person who's gonna kill you.
and you'll
But
get
now
hit
who's gonna
now.
kill you is a virus. You don't know where is it exactly.
And after 2 weeks, you will be dead. You know.
Exactly. Like you could infect other people and then feel guilty for this.
Yeah. طيب, bro, it was a lovely conversation.
Yeah, man. It was amazing talking to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We should have another one on finding a solution for the Palestinian-Israeli cause, man.
Then I think this call for finding a solution will take a long time. And I think
One
then we
week
need to host
probably. Yeah,
Sa'im
yeah.
Ariqat, who's responsible
That's
for negotiating the Israelis.
it's a nice session. It's a nice session to have, man. We can have it open.
Yes, yeah, I know. Maybe we can think more about it and study more about it, because finding a solution could take time, and also implementing it could take forever.
This is a good topic, man. We can organize something about it. Until then, let's disconnect.